Look at this. Suberashi. The cancel pigs have failed. And in their failure, their weakness is being exposed. And this is very important because projecting strength and power is how the cancel pig grifters manage to infiltrate into all of these companies. We saw in previous videos how they were saying, if the marketing team doesn't want us to be hired, you need to terrify them. Tell them what's happening on Twitter. Oh, you don't want diversity counseling? Well, you should know that one single bad take, one single bad joke can bring the armies of Twitter upon you. And now it seems that the armies of Twitter are unable to cancel a single account on Steam. Not a good look. Not a good look. So, how did it get to this point? How was it that these individuals managed to infiltrate all these corporations? And the answer is that we have to take time back to 2016, when Hillary Clinton was running for president. And the culture was set perfectly for her to run. The culture was focusing on misogynismus, and if you guys remember at the time, it was the left believing in this grand conspiracy that patriarchy looms over American society. And all of the brothers and the fathers, they're conspiring together in order to keep women down. And like every institution is built to oppress. You know, they say a lot of things about right-wingers and they believe in conspiracies, but my God, like that was the biggest conspiracy that I ever heard. It was like the patriarchy, right? Like some cock and balls in the sky that is like dominating every aspect of society. So when you have this culture, which the mainstream media was pushing heavily, again, it was to benefit Hillary Clinton, because the whole idea was like, if you disagree with her or her policy, you're a misogynist. And if you're a misogynist, you need to get fired. And there were many people that did lose their jobs because of random takes that they had on Twitter. And whatever, you know, it was a different time back then. But here you have the grifters. Here you have the individuals that took advantage of this. And they claimed that they wanted to help women, but in reality, they just wanted to enrich themselves. They looked upon these rich, wealthy companies that were producing products that the market wanted. And they were like, well, we need some of that cash, right? So they created these consultant firms, these activist groups that would latch on to a company and said, well, you know, we're going to proofread your stuff. We're going to make sure that the stuff you write isn't going to upset the cancel pigs on Twitter. So that's how they managed to get in the business. And I remember there was this indie game which took place in the New World. And you played as Native Americans trying to fight off against European colonizers. And all of a sudden there's like this fabricated outrage that comes out from the ether. And I was like looking at it and going, what the fuck, you know? And they were like, oh no, this is cultural appropriation. Like, you don't understand the struggle of my people. And it's like this guy on Discord was raising a fuss. And the press was like giving him airtime. And it was like, oh, look, a legit concern. Yeah, like a legit concern. And it turns out that the guy comes out after a couple of weeks, after this, like, you know, outroar that comes out from the ether is found on Twitter. And he says, you know, you can hire me. Because I have a consultancy firm. You can hire me and I can fix your game for you. Of course, the developers told him to fuck off. But like, I just literally saw at a small scale what was happening. And for some reason, the press didn't report on that, right? Like, they didn't report on the part where they were actually asking the same company that they slandered and that they were trying to give negative PR. It's like, hey, you know, hire me and I'll give you positive PR. It's kind of like, imagine if you're at a high school and the math teacher just gives you Fs, and then the math teacher also says, hey, you know, if you hire me as a tutor, like you pay me $200 per hour to school your kid in private, he will get good grades. No, isn't it similar? Isn't it like? Anyway. Anita Sarkeesian did the same with CD Projekt Red and The Witcher. The Witcher, incredibly controversial. Oh my god, the sexism and the misogyny ran deep into the roots of Poland to be able to create such an abomination of a video game. The Witcher had sex cards. Yeah, like in the first Witcher, if you did a couple of secondary quests, you could get a sex card. You guys remember that? Apparently they're going to remove it because the new one is for the modern audience. I wouldn't be surprised if it actually has some of these consultants firms. But The Witcher was like that. And Jonathan McIntosh, which was Anita Sarkeesian's partner, and I believe that he was probably responsible for almost every success that she had, because once he stepped down from Feminist Frequency, no one watched it. There wasn't any coverage in the media or anything like that, so he was probably the guy pulling the strings, but he was the one that was also attacking CD Projekt Red and saying, oh my god, such sexism, such misogyny, oh. And then the next year, Anita Sarkeesian is like, I know that your studio is struggling with misogyny. Why don't you hire me? Of course, they told her to fuck off. But you get to notice how they infiltrated, right? So, like, they took advantage of the 2016 moral panic when feminism was being pushed in order to protect Hillary Clinton and to dismiss every single criticism of her policy. And to also attack Trump with like, oh my god, he said grab her by the pussy. Like, can you imagine? Like, that's even worse than approving drone strikes of weddings and funerals that Obama did. That was like a monumental catastrophe. So that was like it, right? And they used that in order to infiltrate. But the thing is, we don't have that culture anymore. We look at that culture now and we call it nonsense for what it is. So now that they're using the same tactics that have been nerfed, they're like, oh my god, we're getting harassment. And you have Asmongold and many other normie streamers with like milquetoast takes debunking their arguments, like hand-waving them as if they're nothing. It's like, what harassment are you talking about? You're getting customer backlash. What? Like, consumer feedback is not harassment. Where'd you get harassed? Who harassed you? They can't name anything. They don't have any receipts. And they're like, oh my god, they're fighting against diversity. No, they're not. You don't represent diversity. Games were diverse before you came. Games had black people before you came. Not every single game needs to have representation. Dragon Ball, right? Dragon Ball had its creator, Akira Toriyama, pass yesterday. The fucking cartels, Google it if you don't believe me. The fucking cartels are issuing a one-day ceasefire in memory of that guy. The Chinese foreign minister, again, Google it if you don't believe me, has offered its sympathies in a national press conference. And yet Dragon Ball has no representation, but it brought people from all around the world together. Why? Because it has an amazing story. Something that these consultancy groups are incapable of creating. And back then, you know, like they had the promise, hey, listen to us and games will be better. They will be more profitable. Objectively, they're shit. They had their time. They had more than 5 years. We don't see games being more profitable. Fucking Nikkei is the money printing machine now. Meanwhile, the AAA games, they're not making a profit. They're not better. The minorities aren't playing them more. Right? Like their theory is garbage because they never cared about diversity or minorities or inclusion or any of that. They're grifters. They care about their own pockets. They're caring about making themselves rich. They don't care about you. They don't care about minorities. The person that actually did start the Steam group is a Brazilian. He's, according to them, they should represent him. How do they represent him? By trying to take his Steam page down. Biggest Steam group from the Brazilian side. And it's still growing. It's at 200,000 people. I think it's close to 250. From what I understand from my insiders, it's not good for Baby Inc. Because a lot of companies are cutting costs now. And they just need a reason to cut costs. So you have like these consultants that are like, hey, you know, you hire us. It's kind of like an insurance. It's kind of like the mafia. You need to hire them so that the cancel pigs on Twitter don't attack you. And now companies are realizing, hold on a little bit, what cancel pigs? There are no more cancel pigs on Twitter for what you're selling. I mean, there still are. You know, there's still people on Twitter that can try to ruin your life, but not for making video games. Not for this. Oh, we put a woman with big fucking whoop. No one cares, right? So they're noticing that the culture is shifting, and I think that Sweet Baby Inc. is losing on contracts. That's the problem. They're losing on capital. Most people are like, okay, so what do? We make sure that you don't offend anyone. Yeah, but your company is offensive. There's over 200,000 people on Steam that absolutely hate you. Like, you caused offense in public, and you think that you can't keep your company out of being offensive. You can't keep your company out of social drama, and you think you can keep our games out of social drama? Fuck off. And that's what's happening. Let me know what you guys think, though. And as usual, I will see you in the comment section. Take care.